So Ellie, thanks for joining us. Obviously Hilton invested a lot of money this year with the No Boundaries campaign into Thunder and Lancs. So we just want to find out a bit more, and if you could just tell us how you got into the game and what your first memory of cricket was.
Yeah, so I've got an older brother, which is how I got into cricket, and yeah, my first memory is probably playing with him in the garden really. And then yeah, following him down to my local club, which is Rainford, and picking a bat up and a ball up on the side as well, and just sort of getting involved with him and his friends. And yeah, I grew up playing a lot of boys cricket, and yeah, a little bit through school as well. And then wasn't until I sort of got picked up by the Lancashire system that I started playing with the girls, and that was probably about 10 and come right through the age group. So I've been at Lancashire for a long time.
So you mentioned obviously initially playing in a boys setup. Were you the only girl in that setup, and how did that feel to be kind of a minority within the group?
Yeah, there was a couple of us who had older brothers who played with the boys, so there wasn't just me. But then as we got older, it was just me. They sort of like fell out the system almost. And yeah, when it was just you, it's always a tricky one, isn't it? Because you're sort of like the only girl, and you feel like all eyes are on you a little bit, and you feel like you sort of don't fit in, and you're a bit of an outsider. I felt a little bit like that at school as well, like being the sporty one, and sometimes cricket's not cool. But yeah, I guess like the boys I played with really looked after me, and I did quite enjoy that side of it, and I still do now. I still go back and play men's cricket when I can. Sort of enjoy that environment. But yeah, it definitely comes with sort of a bit more pressure and sort of having to prove people wrong sometimes. Turning up and you could hear people saying like, oh, they've got a girl on their team, and it just wasn't the norm really. So I guess that's changing now, which is good. And yeah, there's definitely a lot more girls getting involved and more mixed teams, which is good to see.
So at school and at younger age at club, playing with like boys, kind of did the club and school like help you throughout those kind of stages that boys might not understand?
I definitely think they did the best they could, if that makes sense. I think there was, yeah, definitely parts where, especially as like a male coach, for example, not really understanding how a female would feel in that environment, and not really understanding females as a whole, really, which is actually something I think this group do really well, and something that, yeah, we've worked quite hard as a group to sort of, yeah, understand that. But I guess, yeah, there's definitely room for improvement in that area, and I think as much as I did enjoy playing with the boys, I think it's good to see that there's like all girls systems now, and that sort of wouldn't be an issue there, and that girls can, yeah, play with their friends and be around that environment where it is all female, and probably feel a lot more comfortable.
Was there an initial moment along the way of an issue or problem you had to face that kind of comes to mind that kind of the males in the group didn't quite understand and you had to kind of face quite independently?
I guess it was just the whole like issue of being female really. So you'd turn up, you'd have no changing room, you'd have to go and get dressed in a toilet. You'd hear all of their team and their parents whispering about you, saying, oh God, they've got a girl playing. So yeah, there was just a lot of little things really, and like I guess at the time I probably didn't know it, but it was probably like it put a lot of pressure on me, but I think at the time I probably didn't know it. And yeah, I always felt like I had to like prove a point when I was playing, and I guess I quite liked that. I quite liked that challenge, but like there was never a point where I turned up and I felt like I was accepted. It was always like I had to perform to prove my worth in the team almost. Not with my team, but for the opposition mainly. Yeah.
So then in contrast to that, when coming into the Lancs setup and the Thunder setup, into that all-female environment, how does that feel to be able to talk to kind of teammates that have maybe experienced things like that or similar issues?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think that's what sort of makes us quite close as a group, because we've all grown up with a very similar story and faced very similar challenges, which has made us quite close as a group, I think. And also like it's quite nice to go and do some like school visits, club visits and stuff now. And I went to a club the other day that has got a system that's been going for 5 years, and to see that environment develop and that many girls and females playing cricket and all being around each other's company, and that setup they've got there was amazing. I just think that sort of just shows how far the game's moved, and how exciting it is to be a young female now and to sort of have that opportunity.
One factor that's perhaps kind of overlooked quite a lot is kind of being comfortable equipment-wise in cricket. So obviously at a young age, kind of girls might have to buy kind of like men's pads, or like footwear-wise, like men's cricket shoes. as well as you've got other stuff on top of that, like sports bras and equipment that men might not take into account. Kind of how much does being comfortable and having the correct equipment really help kind of performance as well?
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think like as a female, I don't know whether this is the same with males, I wouldn't know, but like I think there's always a bit of a thing around body image and how you look and feeling like you're always being judged for the way you look, and I think that's just something that, speaking to a lot of the other girls, they've had sort of similar challenges with that. And yeah, I think now you see more and more companies bringing out women's ranges, which is brilliant because yeah, I think in general we are a little bit smaller, we use lighter bats, stuff like that, so I think for sort of companies to get to be invested in that and to sort of understand them challenges and to sort of bring them sort of ranges out that suit us a little bit better is just brilliant. And I think you see more and more companies do it now. I think there's a female only company out there now, which is great to see. And yeah, I definitely think it goes a long way in terms of feeling comfortable, and then like you can play better.
As well as investing in that side, obviously Hilton investing with their No Boundaries campaign into Thunder, have also kind of provided kind of that healthcare along the way with the team doctor as well as team physio as well.
Yeah.
Another kind of physio. How much does that make a difference to be able to have kind of that like consistent kind of backing in that sense?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think I'd go as far as saying we've got the best like support staff in the country, but I think to have that sort of sports science support like so readily available is just like massive, and I think you don't appreciate it until you use it. And I think to have like a full-time doctor with us who's female as well, like understanding all of those female issues that especially within sport, I think stuff you can't sort of get like outside of this environment. Yeah, I think it's massive, and I think it's like, yeah, we're really privileged to have that, and yeah, really grateful for Hilton because yeah, it's just like brilliant to have that at our disposal.
And then just finally, kind of looking back on the whole journey so far, what's kind of the biggest step of progress you've seen along the way, and what advice kind of, obviously in your role as kind of Thunder captain and kind of looking to be a role model, what advice would you give to the kind of the younger generation coming through?
I think the biggest change I've seen for us as a team this year, I think we've improved so much as a group, and I think there's no surprise there with the amount of hard work we've put in, but also the amount of opportunities and facilities we're getting access to now. And I think a lot of that is down to our sponsors and people like Hilton who are helping us out, and to go away on pre-season tours, all of that sort of stuff, and to be backed so well by the club. I don't think it's a surprise that we're doing better now, and yeah, hopefully that can continue. I think one piece of advice I'd probably give is to just keep enjoying the game and ride the wave almost. I think it's a game that you can have a lot of ups and downs in, as you can in most sports, and I think yeah, it's just quite important to stay level and make sure you're enjoying the game and almost remembering why you started. And going back to the first question, when I was playing in the garden with my brother, that was when I loved the game, and that was my first memory of cricket, and almost like remembering that when times get a bit tough, and yeah, just remember to keep enjoying yourself.